Hey everyone, and welcome to Superheroes Speak. I am your host, Dave.
I'm John.
JD here.
Yo.
So how is everyone doing this week? John, are you our usual ball of sunshine this week?
Dad, go jump in a lake.
How are you? What is going on in your world?
A lot. And JD can probably chime in on this. How do you feel when, like, have you ever, like, had a writer kill off a character you really cared about?
Yes.
And be completely shocked by it?
Yes.
Every time JD kills you in a story.
Well, those don't shock me. But I have killed characters that surprised me and that I cared about. I've cried writing stuff that with characters that I care about that I've created. Not often, twice.
I mean,
Cackle.
Yeah.
Wait. Who did Butcher kill off?
I can't say. Yeah, like I'm going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. But in the latest book, like, it apparently he has started his 3-book apocalypse. So right. I'm in the middle of Battleground, and it is mass carnage, like Game of Thrones carnage. And I am like, I just, I'm a little bit more than halfway through it, and I just had to put the book down today because I need to process.
Okay.
I mean, like, I've had that kind of reaction before, like when Flint Fireforge got killed in Dragonlance, like, and I was young when I read Dragonlance, and that made me cry for a couple of days. And then, like Wash in Firefly, the Firefly movie, like that hit me hard. Those are the ones I can remember. I know I've had other times, but it's just like this just hit me hard. And to top it off, to put the topping on my melancholy week, I was in Connecticut the last couple of days.
Ugh. Oh, sorry. I thought you just meant the state.
Well, actually, it was on Saturday that I went to the race for Chase Kowalski, one of the kids that was murdered in the Sandy Hook. Okay. One of the 20 children that was murdered by that gun nut. So they do a triathlon, and one of my nephews was in the triathlon, and he's 8 years old, and he managed to do really good. And it's kind of hard listening to some of the stories there, because there were a lot of people there who also had that kind of background, and and the kids were all doing it for a really good reason. It was a interesting day. Like, it's fun. The kids were all excited. We had one kid drop because it was so hot yesterday. It's like hot all over the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they hit heat exhaustion. But that kind of put me in a good mood, but not a great mood in certain. I don't know. I have no idea how to express this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud of my nephew. It's because he did it knowing the circumstances, and did it because he wanted to do it and do something for the family and the families of Sandy Hook. So
it's good to see people do something, use that energy and do something good out of tragedy, but it's attached to a tragedy, right? So that's what makes it weird.
Yeah, but it's that the money they're raising is doing a lot of good.
Right.
So, and it's teaching the kids something too, I think, like
I tell you what, one of the worst things I've had as a parent is the day Andy came home from school and he explained, they didn't call it an active shooter drill, but it was clearly an active shooter drill. And I was really hard. This is the first time I ever felt completely detached from, like, man, he's really growing up in a different world. Like, maybe a world that's not as good, And I don't know, talking about the Sandy Hook stuff brings that all back. And it's just, it's good, but it sucks,
Yeah. What really sucks is that in my time, we were doing active drills too. It was duck and cover for nuclear war.
As the bend over and kiss your ass goodbye drill.
Yeah. It was the just hide under the desk and pretend it's your covers and there's a monster coming. It's like, it just, they didn't tell you it wouldn't do nothing. It was not, but that was scary. That was freaking terrifying back then, and now the kids have to deal with this. There's no way our kids should have to deal with this.
No.
None. Absolutely zero.
And yet here we are.
So
I know, saying as a guy who's about to start working in a high school every day, I don't love it. you know?
Yeah. Well, on that cheery note, how you doing, JD?
I have nothing to complain about, in all honesty. Today I'll go with the really happy stuff. I took my son to his first comic book convention today.
Oh, I saw the pictures. He looked like he was having fun.
He complained the whole time until I found parking. He got up this morning, ran into our room, jumped in bed. It's like, it's Comic-Con day. He was so good.
It's Christmas.
It's like an hour and a half drive from where we live out in the sticks to downtown Chicago, to like downtown South Loop, Chicago. So it was a haul. And he complained until we got there. And then we're walking in the building. He's like, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. And I'm like, what do you want to do the most, buddy? He's like, I want to get a picture with CM Punk and Danhausen, the wrestlers. And it took forever to get our badges. Mm-hmm. My wife bought a one-day badge that was the same price as my pro badge and his one-day kids badge, which was ludicrous. But so that was expensive. And then sure enough, right when we walked in, they had the Pro Wrestling Tees booth. And there was CM Punk and there was Danhausen. And my son, my 6-year-old son, who never shuts his mouth for anything. He takes after his father. He does not stop talking, ever, will not stop talking, was at a complete loss for words when he met them. Like he was just like words just couldn't come out. And I put my hand on his back to kind of escort him towards CM Punk to get his picture with him. And I could feel his heart pounding out the back of his chest. He was so excited. And then we walked around for the next hour and he's like, I got a picture with CM Punk and Danhausen. I can't believe it. And then like he got a little overwhelmed with everything. So we had to go, they have like up above food stuff, kiosks type deals. So we sat there and he was like really enjoying surveying everything. But like, yeah, he had fun. He was dressed in his Spider-Man costume. You know, he quickly decided he did not want to wear his mask as Spider-Man, but liked being dressed like Spider-Man.
Yes.
So I mean, like, he's like, Dad, we're doing this every year. And I'm like, yeah, man. And then he was mad that I got a pro badge and he doesn't have a pro badge. He's like, how come you have that? How come you have a pro badge? I'm like, well, I write books. He's like, I've written books. You know, he's like, you need to put mine on Amazon so I can have a pro badge next time. And I'm like, okay, bud, I'm getting right on that. So that was awesome. Like I've waited to do that with him since I haven't been to one since he was born. And I've been waiting to take him to one since he was born. And it was great. C2E2 is not as big as it used to be, unfortunately. Yeah. Like it's just not the same. Like you don't have the Marvel and the DC and the Dark Horse booths. Like there was no comic publisher booths there. And that really disappointed me. And I usually go to panels, but that wasn't going to happen with the wife and the kid there. So, I mean, like I felt like an old man Comic-Con guy for a while there. I was like, it's just not the same. You know, Artist Alley was cool. You know, he was liking looking at stuff. I didn't really get a chance to really check it out. I think personally, I need to kind of pull the bandage off and start actually attending those things on my own again and start trying to market my wares and get out of my comfort zone a little bit in doing those kind of things. Because in Chicago, there's plenty of those things all the time. I could get my feet comfortable with that. So that was good. And then we got, as we're recording this, I have 4 days left in the Kickstarters. When this launches, it'll be in the final 48, when the episode drops, final 48 hours. We're pacing to be the most backed. We're not going to make a lot because it's a small campaign. It is what it is. But I need 22 backers to hit a cool 100. And I'm going to write a free book for everybody. That's what I decided. If we get 22 backers, I'm just going to give everybody who backed the campaign a free story based in the world. So 22, man, that's the magic number. I've never hit 100 before. I'm going for that's going to be my milestone with this campaign, is finally hitting 100 backers. That's it, man. So we need, if you're on this, help a brother out. 22 more backers, lots of cool stuff. How are you, Dave?
The short story should be about John's character and how he ends up to where
figured out John's character yet.
How I keep skipping through time to die.
That would be a different book on and of itself. That is actually a great idea for a story. Now that you mentioned that. No, so yeah, it's going good.
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Speaking of conventions, I officially got approved for New York. So I've got me and my 2 assistants going.
Girlfriend and her son?
No, my son. And
your
girlfriend.
son. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So, and then, it was a long weekend for me though. Sorry, I'm making noise. My phone is like almost dead and the charger fell out. Decided to take off Friday, went up to Lancaster with the girlfriend for the day, walked around a farmer's market in the heat. It was not the best idea, but Went to a family barbecue yesterday, and then came home this afternoon and fell asleep for a while. So, yeah. And what else is new? That's it. I mean, that's the most exciting thing though, is officially going to New York, looking at hotel prices, and they have definitely gone up from last year. So,
Jeez,
That
they're
is-
already
Shocked to
expensive.
hear that.
actually they went down last year because
Right.
barely anyone was going. Right. Now they've gone. Now they're not. Now they're not just back to where they were. They're a little bit more than.
Now we're
They
making
were
up for
before.
lost time.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. And it's funny because you can book the same exact room for, like, let's say September, the first week in September, and it'll be a lot cheaper because of the convention. These are all the hotels that are near the convention center too that I'm looking at. So yeah, it's not looking forward to that part of it.
I haven't
I don't know.
I haven't been there since 2014. That would be cool to go back to Comic Con.
The girlfriend's offering to help pay for the room, but I'm like, but it's my thing. I feel like a heel if I make her help. I don't know.
Are you a chump? Do you
Little
have
bit.
chump written on your forehead? If she's willing to pay or give her share, you say thank you.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
Is that how modern relationships work?
No, that's how society works. When people are willing to pay for things, we let them. Pride is a killer. Pride will kill you. Swallow that thing. It does you no good.
Well, I guess.
No pride. Pride is for the fools. Let her, if she's willing to, if she said, hey, Dave, I would pay for the whole thing, and you said, no, don't do that, I would be so disappointed at you.
Oh, wait. And then the other thing was Friday morning, I woke up, weighed myself, and I'm down a total of 4 pounds.
Good for you.
Since I got this thing. So,
Good.
yes, but then I was bad all weekend. So,
That's fine. Next week, you can knock it back off. One weekend isn't going to kill you.
no. No, the worst part is, like, John will know this reference, Shady Maple.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that where they kept Sophia and Golden Girls?
No. There's
Nice.
in Shady Maple. There's a buffet where they call it a smorgasbord,
It's the smorgasbord. Everybody in Pennsylvania on this side knows the smorgasbord.
and it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's like the biggest buffet you can ever imagine going to, and that's where we went for dinner
every type of food that you can imagine, and then they have a bunch of stalls where they will make anything you ask for too. Like there's literally nothing there. You can't go there and not find what you're looking for, and you can't also go there and not gain 10 pounds. I mean, that's like,
You would think after I had, because they had a steak station, so I got a New York strip, and then I had crab cakes at one point, and shrimp, and stuffing, and mashed potatoes, and just like all this stuff. You would think I wouldn't have room for dessert, but they had an ice cream bar with like every topping you could want.
Do you get Scrapple out there? Is it that part of Pennsylvania? I've heard of Scrapple.
Yes. Oh my God. It's on my phone, so I can't share it in the chat. I saw the biggest block of Scrapple. There's Shady Maple also has a supermarket, and it's like it's nothing. It's out of this world. Like their produce section is twice the size of the biggest produce section you can think of in any supermarket.
yep.
And they've got everything. And of course it's like it's farm country too. So like they've got 50-pound bags of potatoes. I don't know why any normal person would need a bag that big, but I guess if you're running a farm and you're feeding a lot of people or whatever.
So for the normies at home, can you please tell us what Scrapple is?
So someone in the pig slaughterhouse looked on the floor afterwards and went, Scrapple, more or less. It's kind of like a loaf that's made out of like all the scraps from the slaughterhouse, and it's seasoned, and you fry it, and some people eat it with ketchup, some people just eat it plain.
And I quote, "It is traditionally a mush," and I use the word mush succinctly here, of pork scraps and trimmings combined with cornmeal and wheat flour, often buckwheat flour, and spices. The mush is formed into a semi-solid congealed loaf, and the slices of Scrapple are then pan-fried before serving.
So it's fancy head cheese, basically.
It's
Yes, and it's yummy.
yeah. It's basically we've run out of other things to eat. Oh, look. Maybe we'll do something.
I mean, it's
with
something that probably and
leftover.
think about it. It harks back to a time when like
Oh yeah, you ate everything.
You ate everything, right?
Yeah.
So they
Or
took what was
depression
after you
food,
ate the
too.
good parts of the pig, you took the leftovers and made it into something that was edible. And
Because otherwise you didn't get through the winter. It's like,
exactly.
yeah.
So
Head cheese was the original title of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
interesting.
True story.
Well, it's. I mean, the set probably looked like where they make Scrapple at the end of it. So
It did actually. Head cheese, not as marketable a title, of course.
no.
Well, speaking of gross things, let's look at social media madness.
Oh, that's a nice setup. I appreciate that.
Also a mush of stuff.
So last week we talked about Ben Affleck's surprise return to the DCEU in the upcoming Aquaman. What's the name of that movie again? And the Lost Kingdom. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Lost Kingdom.
Sounds like an Indiana Jones movie.
It
Anyway.
truly does.
To which Random Randy Savage said, so the Snyderverse is not dead. It's being resurrected by the dude bros of Twitter and the far right.
Yeah.
Hear me now and believe me later. This Batman will come out with guns ablazing and banging all the females in his rogues gallery. Oh my God.
I mean, I don't hear anything wrong with that statement. I believe everything he said was probably correct. I especially like his Hans and Franz reference there. That's appreciated. 30-year-old jokes get love on this show.
And then the Gorilla Brain podcast said it means they have a, quote, 10-year plan, end quote.
See, Ray gets it.
Yeah, Ray gets it. Oh my God. I didn't read this. I didn't read anything before I sent it.
What the Fantastic Four?
How do you really feel, Randy? Let us know.
Randy don't mess with his words. Like he says what's on his mind.
I know. It's why we love him.
Yes. Oh, we got a triumvirate on this next one. Continue.
And then, of course, we also talked about Kevin Feige said that the Fantastic Four in the MCU will not be a origin story.
I mean,
to which
good.
Randy said, thank God. I mean, we don't have enough origin stories. The Spider-Man into Civil War into Civil War was like 5 minutes. Just have Richards and company show up and kick the shit out of Mole Man, played by Danny McBride, as like a cold open, then start the show.
Co-signed. I like that.
Mole Man, that reminds me of The Incredibles. That's beneath you, but nothing's beneath me.
That is actually the GIF he used in this same tweet.
Yep.
I am below you, but nothing is below me. Color Brain Podcast said, it doesn't need to be, we're all overly familiar with them at this point.
Right.
Do you want Origin to go watch the 3 times they did it in movies or the cartoons? Just save screen time and hit the gas, baby.
Great.
Sorry, got a little catch in my throat. I mean, I definitely agree with that, but we had 2 very different origins in those 2 movies that went to theater.
Neither of them were great.
No, I didn't say they were great at all.
No, I agree. But yeah, just let you know what happened. The ship fall, boom.
The early 2000s were a little closer to the comic book, but yeah. Timothy Jones, I think it's a good idea. We've seen enough of the origin story already. Unless it is absolutely necessary, I think the origin stories take up too much time of the movies. Yeah, nothing funny at this point, JD.
I appreciate you being honest with us, Tim. Sour grapes, newspapers,
Oh, wait. Pinocchio. We talked about the Pinocchio trailer, to which Timothy Jones gave the best description ever. Oh my God, it looks like Baby Groot on crack.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, they're both made of wood, right? So
nice.
And the Gorilla Brain podcast said Winnie the Pooh is going horror, and I think it's time Pinocchio try his hand at horror again.
Hey,
it's
they
been
did
25 years since Pinocchio's Revenge. What?
Yeah, they did Banana Splits as a horror movie. So.
John, they actually are doing Winnie the Pooh as a horror movie. That is a real thing. Yes.
They've done Banana Splits as a horror movie. Like, I mean, it's just like anything. I don't know. Is this like an inverse of Rule 34? Anything, can be turned into a horror movie?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a market for it. Pinocchio's Revenge was a thing. I remember when I worked at Blockbuster having to put that movie back on the shelf. I never watched it, but I assumed it was awful.
I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand taking beloved children's stories.
Because I don't like it either, to be honest with you, but it's because you can. That's the answer.
Wait until they come out with a horror movie of Calvin and Hobbes. Oh, wait, didn't we? We already read that, didn't we?
Yeah, they already have a comic.
Yeah, we interviewed the guy, David Peppers.
Yes.
Yep.
And Kassan Warren said to us, I have a feeling Warner Brothers, this goes along with what we'll be talking about a little later.
Batgirl.
I have a feeling Warner Brothers axed Batgirl as a way to generate interest. I won't be surprised if the studio has a change of heart after all this free promotion and releases it on HBO Max.
No, they're just too stupid. I mean, they wouldn't. They're not smart enough to make a move like that.
I don't know because that's basically trying to redo the Justice League, right? That's trying, and I don't think so.
Yeah.
I do think there's a chance they can release an HBO Max, but they literally said during their big meeting this week that they don't want to do that anymore. That they're killing themselves by not releasing these things at the theaters, so they're not going to do that. That said, they're taking it off. They're writing it off for this year at least as a massive loss for taxes.
And he followed it up with, after the Harley Quinn show, I'd watch it. I liked Batgirl in Harley. Yeah, but I think you're getting a different Batgirl in this movie than you are in that show. And then finally he said he tweeted out this for us from last week. He asked if any of us were watching.
Oh yeah, we all said no.
Strange New Worlds, and so he tweeted at Paramount Plus, hey, the good people at Superhero Speak need a Paramount Plus membership to review Strange New Worlds. Hook them up.
One like on that post tells me it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that was
one like was from us. Yeah, so probably not going to be a thing.
Yeah. Yay.
All right. Well, before we get to the mess that is Warner Brothers DC, if you want to be part of social media madness and follow along with all this fun every week, here's our good friend D Squared to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often, because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And on that note, we'll take our quick commercial break and be right back with very depressing news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. And
I'm hopping on that Omega Level Nerds podcast after we're done with this show.
Yeah. Can I just say something else? I find it very disturbing that a studio can spend all that money on what is effectively a finished product of the Batgirl movie, or nearly finished anyway, and they get enough money off of a tax write-off that they don't have to release it. Like,
so it's a loss. It's a $90 million loss.
I know, but you know, the fact that our tax code supports that in such a way that that's acceptable to them instead of releasing the movie and trying to make back some of that money.
That's a different podcast, my friend.
I know.
Right,
but...
So hold on.
Socialism speaks.
Hey, democratic socialism.
Me too. So don't feel bad.
Okay.
Let's roll that back a little bit. Put that way over here on this shelf.
Making somebody uncomfortable.
But
all this pinko talk.
Let's start off Pinkos. Let's start off with
taxes for
the
large
big news
companies
this week.
Pinko talk.
Bad. It being bad. Yes, that would be pinko talk.
The Batgirl movie was officially canceled.
Cinema. She's very upset about these things.
Yeah, but consider the source of that.
Oh,
one.
I know. She's awful. She's the worst. Continue, Dave.
She's barely human.
Okay.
But she dresses stupid, so she's got that going for her.
Oh yeah, she's quirky and dumb.
I'm quirky. Let him eat cake.
I have completely lost control. All right.
I just imagine every time she votes that she has that sound.
Yeah.
That she does that. God, I hate her. Continue, Dave. I'm sorry.
All right. So
I thought she cackled like Umbridge from
the big
Harry
news.
Potter,
It came out. I think it either came out.
She doesn't have that personality.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a personality.
I can't remember if.
Okay, we're done.
And scene.
I can't remember if I saw the news like as soon as we got done recording or if it was like the next morning, but it was like right after we finished last week. The big news that came out is Batgirl was officially canceled at Warner Brothers after they were done filming the movie. Yeah. They've said they will not release it in the theaters or on HBO Max, which has spurned so many.
There's so much anger about this. Yes.
So much fallout, so much anger, so many rumors, so many different things that have come out after that, it's funny that the fandom is up in a roar. Let's start with the first. Now, of course, according to Warner Brothers, I believe this was in the official statement, the movie actually tested poorly with test audiences, so bad that they're afraid it was going to hurt the brand. So that's why they've decided not to release it.
Who knows at this point? It's going to be a while before we hear and
I remember this is the movie that gave us. I mean, this is the studio that gave us Man of Steel, Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman, yes, that's one.
The Josh Whedon Justice League, and then the Snyder Cut. So I don't know. Like, my thing with that is like, what brand at this point? Like, there are a few handful of people that still want the Snyderverse. I don't think it's as many people as everyone thinks.
No,
and like. That's not a brand at this point. You need to just like start anew, like scrap everything then and start anew like this. Cause this is still, Simmons was still Commissioner Gordon. So he was still Batgirl's father in the movie. So it still was a remnant of the DCEU in that respect.
I have two thoughts on this. One, is it possible that this movie just completely sucked?
I think
that's also that's also possible. Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. I mean,
Well, like again, I was the guy banging the New Mutants drum for years before. Came out, and then it came out, and everybody it sucked, right? So, but at the same time, I think part of the problem too is it's one of the reasons it tested poorly was who was the Batman in that movie? It was Michael Keaton, right?
Oh yeah.
But you also said who was Gordon? It was J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons is the Gordon from the Ben Affleck. I mean, it's saying so. I think that part of it might have been weird. People might not have understood that because that is weird. We host a geek movie show, and we're like, what? That's weird,
Yeah.
So I think that.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson for crying out loud. I don't understand.
But that's also true. But I mean, like, it's possible that this just wasn't a good movie, right? And again, they're trying to cut $3 billion, writing off $90 million. It's a nice chunk way toward it.
Yeah, right. True. I mean, like I said, it could be anything, or all of that could be true at this point. Now,
I also heard this movie tested the exact same as Black Adam.
But Black Adam was supposedly good, wasn't it?
No, it's according to sources. So who take for what you will, grain of salt, that this movie has the same test scores as Black Adam has. However, what's the difference?
Black Adam is
The Rock.
Yes, that's the difference.
Well, that's the difference. Yeah, you're right. It is The Rock, and I don't think it's as tightly coupled to the DCEU as well.
No, it isn't. But I think the difference is you put out a movie with The Rock in it. There's a really good chance you make your money back.
Yeah.
There's a really good chance this one doesn't.
Also keep in mind that test audiences. I mean, the people put you say that, and it's like, oh yeah, test audience didn't like it. That I wouldn't like. Historically, that's a 50-50.
It is.
The test audiences they pick are sometimes way skewed.
It's sometimes those test audiences are wrong. Like there's a lot of cases of that happening. But in this, I mean, like, I think this is a case of they didn't like the movie and they screened it and the screening verified everything they thought about it.
Yeah.
And they just like, I think Zazov's like, I knew it, we're done. Which is odd. But again, it's not odd because you could take $90 million and say this movie sucks. And then in 2023 2024, you can release it after you made your money back. You know what I'm saying?
Release it on Blu-ray and
or put it on either HBO Max or Discovery Plus, whatever they're going to call that.
Max. It'll be Discovery Max.
Yeah, whatever that hodgepodge network they're creating is going to call it. Whatever they're going to call that, whatever they're going to call that hodgepodge network.
The other thing was, one of the rumors that was spawned out of this was, they're doing this to kill off Michael Keaton's return as Batman.
It's possible.
However, it has now come out that Michael Keaton has also filmed scenes for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
I mean, what the hell is even going on over there?
But I thought they reshot. I was under the impression that they reshot the Affleck stuff to insert where the Keaton stuff is, because one, the Flashpoint movie has not come out, so it doesn't. If the point of the Flashpoint movie is to establish Keaton as the new Batman, we haven't seen that movie.
Right.
Why would they do that? Because at that point
because it's
Batman,
DC
they can't go forward.
I mean, but that's the thing. If you do Flashpoint, remember they brought Thomas Wayne in as Batman for a hiccup. So they could be doing, again, that's weird, man.
Oh, he could be Thomas Wayne, but
here's the thing. People are like, wow, they're doing this 10-year plan. I mean, they have to, right? We talk about this stuff every week, and we're like, what is going on? Like, if we can't follow, nobody can follow. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is where we are with these movies. Well, so
normally
happen.
Flashpoint is the Deus Ex Machina they used to just rejigger the entire DC universe, and they used it several times in both the animated series and obviously in the comic books.
Crisis. We'll call it a crisis.
So you want to bet that they reshoot some of the end of the Flash movie, and at the end, Ezra Miller's not the Flash.
That's possible.
You're right. Actually, hold on. I'll say this.
That's part of the show.
I will say this. Also, we don't know what they were doing, but you're right. I misread the article, and and it does say the assumption is at this point that's why they brought Affleck in, was to refilm Keaton's scene. But it's an assumption, like, no one knows what's going on. But that news actually came out after the Affleck news. That's why I thought, they're trying to say, well, they're both in it, but obviously no, they're not.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out how that would make sense anyway, because it's supposed to be two different Batmen.
I thought they were going to reshooting those scenes to get Amber Heard out. So.
We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea at this point.
Well, it's all speculation. No one's announced anything. And this is the problem. David Zaslav's a real easy guy to hate right now. It's easy to hate your billionaires. It's easy to hate rich people. It's easy to hate executives. I do too. But I get it in this case, because it is a mess. And this is something that should be making them lots of money, not costing them lots of money.
Yeah.
I feel like, and we've talked about this before, love the movies or hate them, Snyder had a vision and had a plan, but it doesn't really feel like any of the other filmmakers coordinated with this.
But that was the plan after Snyder left. Remember, we were just going to let everybody kind of do what they wanted, but they never really abandoned the idea of the shared universe, even though they said we're not going to do a shared universe, right? They told us one thing, but did another.
Right.
So this is where we are right now. They say they're going to emulate Marvel. That's what they should have done to begin with. Who's the guy? They got to hire a guy. Shouldn't be Jeff Johns. He did not do a good job when that was his job.
Yeah.
Who do you put in charge of that? Like, the dude bros are going to go Snyder, but I don't think he wants to do it anymore.
No. And besides, Snyder wouldn't be a good choice, because but
he was the choice. He was the shepherd of that. Like, before the stuff happened on Justice League, he was the guy. Even though Batman v Superman was bad, I agree with you. I hated it too. But the first, Man of Steel made a lot of money.
Well, right? Yeah, because it was the first Superman movie to come out in a while. But word of mouth,
there's people that swear by Man of Steel. There's people that swear. I'm not one of them. I hate Man of Steel.
Maybe you should have let him die.
There are people that swear by it. Nobody swears by Batman versus Superman. I've never seen anybody say, that's an excellent.
Yeah.
But there's people that love the Snyder cut. Like, we know they exist. It's there. You know who you are out there. You're bad.
I like it better than the original, but that's like saying I like peas better than Brussels sprouts. We
said at the time this was not. What's unfair is that was not the movie we were going to see at the theaters in 2017.
Right. Yeah,
right. And that movie has the benefit of 4 years of hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. That movie didn't get that. So at the same time, what's going to happen? There's the real question: is who are they going to bring in to overhaul this thing? Because you need a Kevin Feige. You
Mhm.
need that guy. I thought Jeff Johns could have been that guy. He proved not to be. Who else is there? Who would you put in that spot? I don't have an answer. Other than me. It could be me. I would do it.
Yeah.
At this point, there's
I don't think I
you're
could do
guaran-
worse.
You would know, yeah, exactly. You're guaranteed to do a better job. Like
I don't
anybody
think
who has any love for comic books whatsoever is guaranteed to do a better job than the yahoos that have been in charge so far.
I don't think that's wrong. I think a well-meaning fan could steer this in a better direction than what it's been. It's a freaking mess right now.
Mm.
And they're still going to keep releasing movies. Like my wife and kid just saw Super Pets and loved it yesterday. I didn't get to see it yet. She said it was great.
Cool.
But then they saw the trailer for Shazam. That's full steam ahead. That's like firmly established in what we're doing. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well,
I don't
and
have
then
an answer.
like, I mean, it's funny because Kevin Smith was talking about
That's a
this
guy
on-
who could do it. If you had the guts, like Kevin Smith could shape the future of this universe
I'm not
not as a filmmaker, but as a guy who would be in charge of all this, saying this is what, because his comics are good.
Mm.
Guardian Devil was a good book. Quiver was a good book. You know, he did that Batman pee his pants. But I mean, like, other than that, the book wasn't like the Onomatopoeia is a really good villain. Like, Kevin Smith has not been bad at the superhero book thing. Like, I don't know if he wants that job, but he's a guy who could do that job.
right, like not directing and not writing, but producing and
Producing
being in
it,
charge
being,
of
like your
yeah.
showrunner, basically.
Right. So he had talked about on his podcast, he had said that basically how it works, and they only get this loophole for a short amount of time where they can write it off and they'll get a $20 million tax break because they're losing 70 or 90 million, whatever it was,
Mhm.
the cost of making the movie. But he also revealed that he had worked on an anthology series that was going to be on HBO Max that I didn't even know existed until he said it was canceled. The series was called Strange Adventures, and basically they got a bunch of people who had written stuff for DC before to pick different characters and then write an episode, and then eventually they would all get to see each other's scripts, and then it was going to be produced and made into a show. And he had written an episode for Bizarro. So, and Jimmy Olsen was the other one. Here's the thing. So obviously they were like taking off characters and doing this show. The other thing he had said was they were spending $16 million an episode to do this show.
wow.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money on an anthology on oddball characters that did anyone ask for this? You know?
Yeah.
So it was being produced through the Berlanti company.
It's a lot of money.
Dead
For a TV
Bizarro story. Isn't that just Solomon Grundy?
Kind of.
Like,
I think this is part of the problem too, is like, again, I am not a conservative person by any stretch of the imagination, but there is a lot of waste. Warner for generations has just pumped money into these specific movies and gotten very little back. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on unmade Superman, Batman movies. And I'm not kidding about that.
Mhm.
Hundreds of millions. Supervoid Cinema has a lot of great little documentaries about this culture of corporate gluttony when it comes to
So
spending money on things that were never finished.
I think a lot of that comes from Warner Brothers set the tone for quote unquote superhero movies with the Superman movies, the original Superman movies, and then the Keaton 89 Batman.
Timeout. Warner
Okay.
gets credit for that. They didn't do anything.
No, no, no.
Ilya Salkind was the guy who did it. Warner had a distribution deal to put that movie out. And then it took them, and then they proceeded to fall off a fucking cliff, like immediately after Superman comes out.
I'm not saying
I'm not saying
but-
you, but that's the narrative that's out there, that Warner did this first, when in reality, that's like saying 20th Century Fox made Star Wars. They didn't really.
But I'm getting at the perception. Okay, but then we did have 89 Batman,
They didn't do
Batman
that.
Returns, those movies. They set a whole nother kind of tone for superhero movies.
Mhm.
And then Blade came out and completely blew that style out of the... I mean, it was an action movie, but wasn't the same. It wasn't a superhero movie as what we were used to. Then we got our
Dave, who made that movie? What studio put that movie out?
Blade.
I'm about to blow your mind here, but continue.
Wait a minute, I don't remember who it was now.
It's New Line Cinema.
New Line Cinema, yeah.
You know who owns New Line Cinema?
Is it Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers.
Okay, so they did something different.
I mean, very different, because that's a Marvel property. So I mean, like, but yeah, New Line is part of the Warner family.
Okay, but
Apparently
then,
not the
then we got
same
the Fox,
structure, though.
the
No,
Fox
it isn't.
X-Men and the Sony Spider-Man movies, which,
Mhm.
and I think what had happened was, in all honesty, is that they didn't know what to, like, Warner Brothers, like, I think the reason they keep doing it is they're afraid to just do it. You know, they're afraid to, like, take somebody who loves the characters, loves the properties, and say, go make an amazing movie for Superman. Go make an amazing movie for Batman.
They do that though, but then they pull the rug out from underneath them. Like all you gotta do is go back and look at Kevin Smith, right? When he was working with John Peters on making that Superman movie.
Uh-huh.
And then that didn't happen. So then they did the Tim Burton Superman movie and they were about to shoot. And then that didn't happen. And then they had McG, who was about, I'm sorry, J.J. Abrams. That didn't happen. McG. I mean, they get so close and then they pull the rug out from underneath them at the last minute. Like this, like what happened to the only difference with Batgirl is they actually made it and pulled the rug out this time. Like usually they just pull the rug out just before they start making it. Like this is a tradition with Warner. They do this all the time and have done this for close to 25 years, if not 30, where they just get ready to make a movie and then just decide at the last minute, nah, we can't do it.
You know, I've seen management structures. I've worked in companies with management structures that ended up doing, you know, that kind of thing. This is like, they need to clean house. Because this, I know, but they need to, but I don't think they got rid of the executives.
No, they did. Oh,
yeah.
Everyone's Discovery. None of these people are Warner. Like all the Warner guys are gone.
Well, no,
these are all
the Warner
Shark
guys are
Week
gone
people.
now, right?
Yeah,
So-
now. Yeah, it's
All right.
and they're trying to, and I feel for them. You're trying to write 30 years of toxic corporate culture.
Yeah,
Right,
and that's
and
hard to do. You literally have to
super hard.
fire half of your management
That's
structure just
what
to
they're
get a
doing.
start on it.
They're calling it like Zaslav is wiping people out, and there's people that are very upset about this. I think like a lot of the hand wringing about HBO Max might be much ado about nothing because like people are like, oh, it's gonna die, it's gonna die. They didn't say anything about it going to die. In fact, they kind of propped it up. Now we need to see what that is long term. But I heard nothing in that presentation about killing HBO Max.
Yeah.
I heard we're going to use HBO Max to get more people watching Discovery Plus because that has a much better brand identity. So I think people made a big deal about what might wind up being nothing.
Does it have a better brand?
Absolutely.
Because I don't know. HBO Max has been doing pretty good, and you don't hear much about Discovery.
Yeah, it has a
Plus.
better. That's what I said. HBO Max has a better brand.
Oh, I thought you said Discovery has a better.
No. Quite opposite. But it's gonna like. In my mind, like I said, they put that thing out and said, you know, some people called it sexist, where the women like the Discovery Plus, men like HBO Max, and I'm like, part of me is like, okay, you can feel that way, but if your numbers actually came back with these results, I can't, I can't argue it. And I jokingly tweet, I'm like, this would be the perfect channel for my wife and I, because my wife does like all that Discovery Plus garbage, and I like HBO Max. So I mean, like, I would feel like I would have cable again if they when they do roll this into one.
So the other thing that got canceled. John brought this after I sent the email.
They canceled
the Supergirl movie that they were working on got canceled. That's what they're now saying. And Scooby-Doo Holiday Haunt movie, you know.
That was like Batgirl. That was made. And they just pulled the plug before like
what,
totally
Scooby-Doo?
finishing. The Scoob movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's odd. But the Supergirl one gets me thinking, and it's related to something else. Apparently, so far they haven't canceled Flash, but I'm really wondering if that's what this is leading up to.
I don't
They
know.
got to announce it soon, or they lose the ability to write it off.
I wonder. Well, nothing's been. I don't know. A part of me wonders if they haven't done it because no one's caught Ezra Miller's crazy ass yet, and it could be like, I don't know. There might be some wrongful termination or something like there's some reason why they haven't. And I'm not going to lean into the misogyny aspect of it, because nobody likes that guy, but
Right.
he's wanted for stuff and no one's been able to catch him. So part of me wonders if there's stuff that we don't know about.
Is it
you know?
like you don't see any promotions for the movie?
We don't see any promotions for the
Anything.
movie.
No.
I mean,
They're not acting like they say, oh yeah, we want to make this movie, but it seems like lip service.
Yeah, and the one time they mentioned the Flash is on the promos for Shazam,
And they don't show
and
him.
they don't show his face.
Mhm.
They just show a blur, the red blur. So-
I'm of the mind that actions speak louder than words, and their
Yeah.
words are saying one thing, but the way they are acting toward it tells me something else. So I don't know if there's some legalese stuff going on with that movie in particular, but they've seemed to have just like disowned it while saying, oh yeah, we're still going to make this movie. Like it feels very corporate-y. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Because that movie was supposed to have come out already, right? Like it was supposed to come out before Aquaman.
Yes, which is why we have all this adjustments.
Right. So it's like, and it would make sense if they're introducing Supergirl in Flashpoint, they have to scrap her movie or redo her movie anyway if they're going to do Supergirl, but who knows at this point.
I think we need to take it behind the woodshed and kill it like the Predator in this new Prey movie.
Oh, the Predator movie sound bad?
No, the new one's on Hulu. It's supposed to be awesome.
Oh, okay.
It's called Prey.
Yeah, that's because I thought I'd heard it was good. I was just,
it's the Predator versus like rainforest natives.
Yeah,
it looks awesome. I'm gonna watch it tonight. That's the plan.
And then there seems to be some confusion on the Green Lantern series.
There's nothing but
because
total confusion.
John found two different articles. One saying the series looks like it's canceled. The other one saying they're still going ahead with it.
One from 3 days ago that it's canceled. One from 3 hours ago saying it's still going out. So it's Schrodinger's
television series.
Yeah,
Schrodinger's lantern.
The actions are telling me that we're going to put out what we have done, but we're not going to put out the stuff that isn't done, and everything else we're just kind of kick the can down the road until we figure out what we are. Because you can't tell me you have a 10-year plan when nobody is making the 10-year plan. You can't say, yeah, we're going to follow Kevin Feige without giving me your equivalent to Kevin Feige.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't think any of this is going to happen. I think we're going to put out Black Adam. We're going to put out Shazam, and I think you're not going to hear anything until next year where they go, this is our guy. And this is our slate.
This is our Feige. The Feige is going to be
exactly. You can't.
This is our Feige right here.
Yeah. If you're saying your 10-year plan involves having a Feige-like character at your place,
a Feige-like character,
you can't. Then you don't have a plan because you have to have the Feige make the plan.
The plan is to build a 10-year plan.
Right.
We have a 10-year plan. Year one, make the plan for the next 9 years.
Exactly, and that's part of their problem too, right? Because if they had a 10-year plan, they would have done a Feige type presentation where they went, here's our timeline, and then this dates this movie, this dates this movie, this dates this movie.
You know who could do it? Jordan Peele. That is a guy I would put in charge of the DC extended, whatever you want to call it, universe.
Is he a very smart fan?
Film. I don't know, but he's really good at genre fiction, and he tells good stories.
This is true.
He did want to make.
He's kind of become a horror guy.
He wanted to, yes, but he also pitched Gargoyles at Disney, and they turned him down.
What a revival of the Gargoyles?
Yes, he wanted to make a Gargoyles movie, and they said no, we don't. We have Marvel. Why do we want to do the Gargoyles? And he's like, because Gargoyles is awesome, and he did this impassioned thing. No, he like genre fiction is just genre fiction, right? You like that kind of stuff. I think that he is a guy that could do that. He is someone that I would say, yeah, or Ryan Coogler, quite frankly. Like if he was done with Black Panther and that's like it, he might now. He's kind of an auteur, but he is a guy I would sit there and go, hey, you want to be in charge of this?
Maybe, I don't know.
Those are guys that strike me as who can't, because we're not going to go to Snyder. We're not going to go to Joss Whedon. You know, the Russo brothers are doing their thing. And I know the Duffers have stuff they're doing too. They're doing the Talisman for Netflix, which is going to rule, by the way. Like, so who are visionary genre filmmaker guys? Maybe there's a producer guy that you just don't hear about producers. Like nobody knew who Kevin Feige was. Maybe there's that guy that we don't know about. I don't know who that would be, but like, I don't know. Like there's got to be a guy that can like steam, that could like, I don't want to say shoehorn. That's not the word I'm looking for, but the guy who could like command this ship. Right.
It's got to be somebody that likes the material. Too,
absolutely.
Though, right?
100%.
Okay. What are the best two things that have come out of the DCEU?
Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman.
Yep. Oh, even that one though, the end, they Snydered the end.
Because Snyder had the end, because Snyder was running everything. But then Patty Jenkins did Wonder 84, and that wasn't that good. You know.
I know.
Sam?
How about
Sam's good, yeah.
How about Suicide Squad and Peacemaker?
Gunn is a guy you could do that with. I heard people are not. This could just be online.
He says chatter. He said he's done with the MCU after the volume
They're
3.
doing another Peacemaker season. He is a guy that I would say, do you want to have more control over this? That is a guy I forgot about Gunn. people were saying, "Oh, that Suicide Squad did terrible." I'm like, yes, because they released that on HBO Max, and this is why they're not doing that, because they're not making their money doing this.
Right.
So that's like they're right. Like for my lazy ass, it is super awesome to watch these movies at home. But how does that make $100 million movie its budget back? I don't get it, right? And neither do they. It doesn't. When we were in the pandemic, like Netflix, that's their business model. I get it.
Yep.
Warner, HBO Max, that's not their business model.
Yeah, unless you get like a couple million people to sign up for a year subscription, you're not making the money back, you know.
And they won't tell us like if the subscription model is working when they're not giving us like, hey, we got this much of a bump in subscribers.
They do give us that information. It's in the quarterlies. They gave us that information. I forget.
Yeah, but it's in the quarterlies, but it doesn't tell you like, I mean, you know,
you don't get the breakdowns of this was watched much and this wasn't watched.
Right. Exactly.
They're pulling stuff off of the channel that people apparently weren't watching. They pulled the witches, which was a shame because I was telling, there was a whole list of stuff that they removed. I was just telling Dave that before we went on air.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but like it's not really secret. They're just gonna do it. Like they pull stuff and put stuff on all the time and don't tell you. Like it's their network. So you know, it's like a thief in the night coming in.
It's all secret.
Mm-hmm.
I feel about that. Yeah. Like I said, it's I don't know where we go from here because I'm starting to wonder if Marvel is getting long in the tooth, and I'm wondering if Disney or if DC can't kind of revitalize a little bit.
And I was going to say, this is the time when they need to strike, but not only do they make a lot of bad decisions at Warner Brothers historically, they're really slow at getting stuff out, making decisions. When Marvel's popping out 3 movies and 3 TV shows a year, even though it's getting us all fatigue, like you can't sit there and have like 1 movie a year, 2 movies a year and say you're competing with, an extended universe.
Yeah.
They aren't even getting that 1 movie a year, 2 movie a year. They haven't kept that pace.
No, they haven't. They could have tried to, but they didn't. Like,
I think they tried to because they remember they pull these things. Oh, this is going to come out here. This is going to come out here. And then you look back and like, that never came out. This never came out. Like,
right.
They just haven't. Backing Snyder was the first mistake because it started a domino chain. Like they thought it was the guy with Man of Steel, and there were big problems with Man of Steel. And you can't tell me you watched that movie and didn't see the problems with it. And then Dawn of Justice is a mess. And then the mess that everything like it was a bad choice from Get Out. But I mean, like you had all your eggs invested in that, and then you went with this non-committal. Well, we're just gonna let people do whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got Matt Reeves' Batman, which is a good movie, but I mean. If the goal is to have a cinematic universe, that can't be. And the Joker was an Oscar. I think it got you some prestige, but it's directionless.
It's completely not anywhere near any kind of shared universe. So
right, they go all in. You either got to give me a shared universe or don't give me a shared universe. We're halfway right now. Nothing's working.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem too. Is the Matt Reeves Batman, though it was good, it doesn't make sense. Like. You've now wasted how many years because you were like, we're just going to do our separate movies now. Now all of a sudden it's like, nope, we're going to follow Marvel. Like, well, then you've got to completely start fresh.
But that's what they did though, right? Like this merger happened in April. So we are starting fresh. And now you got these new people coming in trying to make heads or tails of what the last group did. And they're not liking it, which is logical because none of us have liked it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
So,
they're in the same spot, but they can actually do something about it.
As long as they got rid of enough of the cokeheads that were making decisions the last 20 years.
There's plenty of cokeheads to make plenty of other bad decisions.
Yeah.
I know, but like
no shortage of that.
I mean, but the decisions that the WB execs have made for the last 2 decades has been epically bad.
They have been. Like it looks like the CW is done. Right, we sold that off. The shows are all wrapping up.
All the shows are done,
but it's okay. They've been on forever. It's time for something different.
10 years. Well, more than 10 years.
More than 10 years. I want to say Arrow started in like 2013. So I mean, no, that's 10 years. So we've had a decade really of this Arrowverse. So it's good. It's time to put it to rest. It's time to move on and do something different.
Yeah.
Right. So who's in charge? That's my only question. That's what it really comes down to. Who is your guy? Who's your shepherd? Who is You know, who is Moses leading us through these 40? Because we've been wandering this desert for 40 years, and someone has got to plant this thing and go, look, we're living here. Like,
that is an apt analogy.
I'm very proud of that one, to be quite honest with you. Let my people go.
Who was the showrunner for the CW shows?
Berlanti,
yeah.
And Guggenheim?
Guggenheim's on a list.
And Jeff Johns had some stuff to do with that.
Jeff Johns is on a list. Jeff Johns, which we don't know. We speculated a couple weeks ago as to some stuff, but we don't know. But Jeff Johns is kind of persona non grata a little bit with anything that's not publishing there now.
Yeah.
So maybe they say, hey, CW's gone. Berlanti, Guggenheim, you want a job? Handling movies? I don't know.
We saw their interpretation of it. I kind of want something new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honest to God, start with Pattinson as your launching point. Go from there. Base the new DCEU on this universe.
Yeah, but they need to do something like Bruce Timm did. It has to be epic.
The problem is,
I assume that you're right. We have to do that.
The problem is, God, I can't think of his name. The guy who did the Batman,
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves kind of said some of the same stuff as, even though I think Matt Reeves is more of a fan of the property than, oh God, what's his name?
Tim Burton.
Did the Batman movies? Nolan, where it was like, he didn't want to include Superman and stuff because he wanted it grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And I kind of, and Reeves has said the same things. He wants it grounded in reality, but it's like,
that's fine. He can say that, but then at the same time,
Warner
can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they can go, it's our property, you including Superman, or
you're going to put Superman in this, or you're going to walk, and we're just going to take all your concepts.
It's like you guys keep yelling at me. You want to ground it in reality, a show about a guy who dresses up as a bat and doesn't get shot on the first night, with a face mask that shows his face so they could shoot his face.
To be fair, most people cannot aim a gun. So
true.
Yeah. Yes. You're always taught center mass. So it's not as easy to hit someone in the face as you think.
Yeah. But
it's not easy to hit people.
But it would only it would take only a matter of days before some crime boss would hire a sniper.
No. What I'm going to say is, though, there's never been a stray shot that hit him in the face. Like, yeah, that's the problem.
They're like, oh, they're Schrodinger shooters. They're like as bad as the stormtroopers, and yet as good as a sniper. I don't know.
But it's fiction. That doesn't bother me. Like,
I know, but that goes right back to, okay, but you don't want to put Superman in the show.
Okay, Die Hard, the original Die Hard movie is grounded in reality, right? That guy's dead in 15 minutes. He's got no shoes on. He's walking over glass. Like, it doesn't, movies don't, even the best movies don't, they don't hold up to real scrutiny. It's fine. Like, I can suspend my disbelief to be entertained. Like, just give me a good story.
What's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's comes out of a movie? Is it
Last Action Hero?
Last Action, yeah.
And remember, in that,
they made fun of the whole.
Yes,
it's one of the best commentaries about movie physics ever, where he shoots the car and it doesn't blow up, and he's surprised it doesn't blow up.
That movie is about 10 years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like, it came out in 1993. If it comes out in 2008, 2009, when people were a lot more willing to accept meta commentary on things, I think it's a smash hit.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. That's my recommendation for the week. Go back and give another shot to Last Action Hero, because it's actually better than you think it is.
It's better now too, considering.
100%. It's a movie that is aged better. It was ahead of its time, and being ahead of your time is a death sentence most of the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're not going to solve Warner Brothers problems tonight.
Try.
So the last bit of news was just something odd that I saw, and I'm like, huh. You guys remember Max Headroom from?
I'm from Chicago. I have a special connection with Max Headroom. Yes.
Well, he's coming back.
Okay. Why?
Everything from the 80s must be reintroduced.
So Matt Frewer, who played the original Max Headroom, is coming back in a series for AMC from Christopher Cantwell and Elijah Woods, Spectrovision.
I don't see how that works.
It's probably not going to, realistically speaking. I don't think there's a great cultural love or fondness for Max Headroom.
And also, that was put out in a time when computers were magical because nobody knew it. Now we all have one in our phones.
Which could be the take, in all honesty. The Max Headroom could be anywhere now. Max Headroom could be right here in my phone, So
Yeah.
I don't know, like,
Instead of just going out on a pirate TV signal, he could just pop up on people's cell phones.
well, the pirate TV signal happened in real life. That was, like I said, that's Chicago. Some dude hacked into WGN and our PBS station, WTTW here in Chicago, during an episode of Doctor Who, mind you, and just messed
How dare
around.
they?
Dude, have you ever seen the pirate Max Headroom video? It's creepy. It's real creepy.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
I mean, it's just creepy. It's just a guy being weird. Like, but it
Okay.
comes off, it's just really eerie, like horror movie stuff. It's like stuff of legend here,
Yeah. So
Yeah, I have zero interest in this.
I was trying to think, and it's funny because yeah, the actor is still alive, but like it doesn't matter because it's going to be a computer generated face. He'll just be giving the voice for it.
Ironically enough, Max Headroom will look better, and part of the appeal was that he looked like a computer graphic from 1987,
Right.
and now a computer graphic in 2022 can look like anything. It's weird. I don't know how this works. I guess
Maybe-
I'll wait till I see a trailer.
Maybe they make it about AI or something. Who the hell knows? at this
Could be.
point?
I don't know. Like,
Well, that is. I mean, Max Headroom was supposed to be an AI to
wasn't he a
make it
crime
look like
solving?
what?
Wasn't he like a crime solving AI or something like
He was
that?
a reporter investigating the company and gets into an accident and dies. So they create an AI for him to make it look like he's still alive, and it becomes its own thing.
That is kind of cool, actually. Like when you pitch it like that, it is like RoboCop in a way, but instead
Mhm.
of him becoming this big defensive cyborg, he becomes a computer generated thingamabobber. So
Yes.
there's something there, but I don't know, man. Max Headroom, color me suspect.
Yep.
Eh.
I okay. I mean, it's funny too because obviously the only time I remember, like, 'cause it's funny. I'm reading the article from Deadline and they're trying to talk about like he was in this and it was this and it was that. It's like, but the only time you can think of him being utilized as a cultural icon is in Back to the Future 2, when he goes into the 80s cafe and all the waiters
Yes,
are computer screens and they're doing the Max Headroom glitch. Yeah. So other than that, it's like, yeah, like I remember the show. I think he would pop on MTV every once in a while.
Wasn't he the voice or the spokesman for New Coke?
I think so. Yes,
Wow, that didn't age well.
Neither did New Coke, yes.
exactly.
My mom
So-
bought New Coke. I remember having New Coke in the house when I was a very little kid. I must have been like 5. But I remember it was such a big cultural thing that I remember that being a thing.
It's a crazy thing. Because
It was a great marketing campaign because it spiked the sales of Coca-Cola when it came back.
It's all about getting corn fructose syrup into your
High fructose corn syrup
instead of
replacing
sugar. Yeah,
That's the great conspiracy theory.
That didn't age well either.
High fructose corn syrup? No, it did not.
yes, but it's in everything you eat.
Well, no, now it's like, oh, we're all natural. No high fructose corn syrup.
Well, if you're careful, you can avoid high fructose. High fructose corn syrup bugs me.
They're taking out more and they're taking out more and more stuff now.
Yeah. 10 years ago was unavoidable. Now it's a little bit easier to avoid it, but you just got to read and be careful.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's how they get you too, because then they can take it out and then charge you more.
That's the lesson.
Yeah.
The Great Coke Foible.
All right.
My next book
How will John die in that one?
on high fructose corn syrup and morbid obesity. I have a massive coronary.
Oh my god.
Wonderful. Well, I
Yeah.
have been working on a heart attack, so
Yeah, just steer into the skid or off the cliff. One or the other.
yeah, pretty much.
All right. Before we completely go off the cliff, if no one else has anything else they'd like to add this week, I say we put a pin in it. Because,
Warner, are you so crazy?
what?
Said Warner, are you so crazy?
Warner, you so crazy. Warner, you so crazy. There you go. Episode title.
Episode title. All right.
And you got to go do another podcast.
I do. You know who's running Warner Brothers? The Warner Brothers.
And the Warner sister, Doc.
Yes.
Of course.
I think we'd have better results if those 3 were actually in charge, actually.
All right. Well, you guys have any recommendations or anything you learned on the podcast this week? Your
I
recommendation?
I learned nothing. Go to Red Sunrise. We have a few more days as you're listening to this. Let's help us push it over 100. Give you some free books. Give you some cool books. You can watch Don. You can read along as John gets swallowed whole by vampires. It'll be awesome. I highly recommend Last Action Hero, 1993, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's got a great AC/DC soundtrack. It's way better than you think it is. It's a lot of fun.
John?
I've got nothing. I spent an entire week with my nephew, and managing a 12-year-old is kind of hard.
Amen, brother.
So, yeah,
Wouldn't you recommend, if you're going to read the Dresden Files Battleground, have a box of tissues ready?
Don't start with Battleground. Read through the whole thing so that you can cry with me. That's all I can say. I won't spoil anything else. It's well worth it, though. I mean, it's well worth. The Battlefront has over 22,000 reviews on Amazon.
You mean Battleground?
Battleground, yeah.
Battlefront's a game from
Star
Wars.
Yeah, just I'm tired. Battleground has over 22,000 reviews. It's got 5 stars. Like, it's
All right.
JD, you'll be there someday.
Working on it.
Well, I will recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square, and so much more. This week, I learned that, Warner Brothers doesn't know what they're doing. They're trying to make it look like they know what they're doing. But, yeah.
You knew that beforehand.
I learned I like to lie. I will also back his recommendation. Go check out The Last Action Hero, because I haven't seen it in a long time and I want to watch it again now. So we're going to see if it holds up. So on that note.
Oh, let's review Last Action Hero next week.
Okay, I'm game.
John?
Sure, why not?
We haven't done anything like that in a couple weeks. Months.
There you go. Yeah. Last Action Hero.
We're cutting edge. We're nearly 30-year-old movie.
We're cutting edge for 3 middle-aged men. All right. As always, thanks for listening. Don't let your kid get caught in the door. Have a good week.